get into this thing. Breaking news. That's my breaking news noise. Breaking news. Breaking news. The Dallas Cowboys have decided to not. The Dallas Cowboys decided to not bring back Mike McCarthy and allow his contract to expire. I'm going to read a statement from the boss, one Jerry Jones, regarding Michael from Pittsburgh. It reads, throughout Mike McCarthy's tenure here, including the last several weeks, I have been very complimentary of the job he has done. We're going to get back to that quote because I told you guys this before. That has applied to our record over the time period, over our team unity and culture. Mike's qualifications and track record of success on a personal level as a tremendous human being. As said Cowboys owner, president, general manager Jerry Jones, I have great respect for Mike, and he has led this team through some very unique and challenging times during his tenure. Remember, they hired Mike. COVID happened right after that. Over the past week, Mike and I have had the opportunity to conduct a joint review of all aspects of the past season, our players and staff, and also spent considerable time discussing the road forward for the team. These discussions were thorough and received an appropriate amount of time and depth to cover. Prior to reaching the point of contract negotiations, though it became mutually clear that we would be better for each of us to head in a different direction. I thank Mike and wish him, his wife Jessica, and their family the best. They have been a wonderful part of our community here. We will commence a search process immediately to hire the next head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones and Mike McCarthy have gone their separate ways. It was reported earlier in the day by Tom Pelissero. Now, Tom Pelissero is what word can I use? He is the mouthpiece. He is connected and tied to very, very closely with Michael from Pittsburgh. So when Tom Pelissero says certain things, you can almost set your watch to it. You can bet your bottom dollar it's coming from the mouth of Michael McCarthy. And Tom Pelissero said that the fact that they couldn't come together on terms of the years in a contract extension. If you listen and if you watch me, you've heard me talk about that. Jerry wanted to have a shorter contract. He wanted to have it to be almost incentive-laden, where you had to win a certain amount of games or you had to do a certain amount of things in the playoffs and so on and so forth for you to get your money. Let me first say kudos to Mike McCarthy for having a spine, for saying to Jerry Jones, I am a Super Bowl winning quarterback who, for you in my time here, has won probably just under 50 games. In my time here, I know 36 for sure in 3 years when they went 12-5, 12-5, 12-5. And for Mike McCarthy to say, you won't treat me as if or pay me as if I'm some scrub. Feel how you feel about Mike McCarthy, but there is a honor that must be upheld in the coaching fraternity. We hear it a lot of times when the players, hey, quarterback, receiver, you can't take that deal. Because if you take that deal, you set the precedent now, especially if you're the next guy, if you're a star, if you're Patrick Mahomes, if you were in Dak Prescott's situation, Josh Allen, whoever that person may be, you have to get a deal that reshifts and reshapes the market for quarterbacks. If you're Jamar Chase, if you're CeeDee Lamb, if you're Justin Jefferson, you can't take a deal that is less than the market setting of the deal, because you then recreate the market and you make it bad for those coming behind you. You now take the ceiling from here to here. And sometimes you see it publicly, but a lot of times, sometimes you see it publicly, but I know it's happening a lot privately. guys from the NFLPA and agents will be like, hey, you can't take that deal. Because that deal then messes it up for the guys coming behind him. And I believe that Michael McCarthy has a backbone, and he stood up to Jerry and he said, hey, what you cannot do is, one, give me a 2-year extension when I only, it will basically be a 2-year contract. It's not like you're giving me, it's one thing if Michael had 2 years left and then Jerry added 2 more years to that, then now he has 4 years left. But you can't give me a 2-year extension when I don't have any more years left. Because if I let you do that, and then I let you give me these incentive-based contracts, well, what happens for the next head coach? Now other NFL owners start to say to themselves, well, we're going to do a deal the way that the Cowboys did a deal with Mike McCarthy. And now I'm going to give you these incentives. And you mess up the line of coaches who's saying, oh. Now, we get bonuses, but what's ours is ours. What we signed for is what we signed for. That money is guaranteed. So if I sign a 4-year deal or a 5-year deal and I signed it for $10, $12, $15 million per, well, at the end of that deal, whether it goes the length of the contract or they fire me early, that money belongs to me. So Mike couldn't take another contract. He couldn't go and take a contract that was less than what he was normally going to get, because in the brotherhood of head coaching, he had to. He had no choice. So Jerry walked in with a cheese sandwich and said, hey, here's your deal. Mike said, I can't accept that. Can't accept the cheese sandwich. That's not even good cheese. You want me to take a 2-year deal where I got to do all these loop-de-loop things to get to the money? I can't do that. I can go be an offensive coordinator or a consultant or go to college or whatever may have you, or find some other spots. New Orleans being one. He has ties to New Orleans. He remember his new agent, Sean Payton's agent. So he understands the inner workings that happen in New Orleans. New Orleans may want another pedigree, Super Bowl pedigree type coach to come in there. Don't know. I'm just saying that there's ties there. But shout out to Mike McCarthy for doing it. Now, I've been on record, and I still stand 10 toes down on this. I thought McCarthy's time was done here. It was done. Because if you did not want me after 12-5, if I did not prove to you in that time that I was worthy enough to be your head coach, outside of winning a Super Bowl this past season, there was nothing that he could do to change those ideas and thoughts, in my personal opinion. You would have had to win to the bowl and then go to the bowl with the roster that Jerry has given you that was not bowl worthy. It wasn't even NFC championship worthy. It was a whole lot of hope and dream and make it work. And then you ran into the injury bug, and you knew by the middle of the season that this thing wasn't going anywhere. If you're realistic, Jerry's been around enough football to look at this season and go, when you got to that 5-game losing streak, you didn't have your quarterback coming back. See, it's one thing if you can go through a 5-game losing streak and then go, well, I get my quarterback back in 3 weeks. But when you go through that and you know your quarterback's done for the year, you can close up shop. But they've moved on. Where Mike will go, don't know. The Bears want to interview him. They'll have their chance. I think you'll see him be interviewed by New Orleans. But if you really think about it, when you start thinking about the grand scheme of like coaches, apart from the retreads, there will be some retreads that be hired. Maybe not. There will be some retreads that will get a job. And maybe not for the Cowboys, maybe for the Cowboys. But once you get past the likes of Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, the offensive coordinator at Tampa, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator at Buffalo, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator at Detroit. I don't think Bobby Slowick's name's hot in the streets anymore. I think he's sizzled off in a cold way. Now, if he makes a playoff run, cool. And then you'll have names like Kellen Moore. But after that, Everything else is retreads. Everything else is Ron Rivera. Vrabel's already hired in New England. Pete Carroll. There's Mike McCarthy is now available. John Gruden. Y'all can call me crazy if you want to. But everybody else is a retread that you can think about that's worth a head coaching position. And some may want new and old, but some of these other teams that have jobs available, I don't know if the Jets want a new, inexperienced head coach. I don't know if Jacksonville wants that. I think maybe the Bears do. I think the Bears are willing to take that chance. I don't think the Raiders are. I think they want somebody with some experience. Who else am I missing? Who else has some jobs openings? Cincy. Well, did they fire their coach? No. The Cowboys. Yeah, the Cowboys don't. I don't think they want. I mean, Jerry's been on record talking about he doesn't want to give his head coach. He doesn't want to give his team over to a guy who doesn't have the pedigree. But I do want to get back to that point, and I said in the statement. And this line is critical. It says, the first sentence, it says, throughout Mike McCarthy's tenure here, including the last several weeks, I have been very complimentary of the job he has done. I keep telling y'all, I tell y'all this every single time. I don't want my boss overly complimenting me. When he starts talking about when jobs are on the line and your boss is like, oh, yeah, oh, he's amazing, he's great, and you know things are going bad, that is the writing on the wall that my job is on the outs. And we heard Jerry for the last 7 weeks. I mean, just glaze. I mean, glizzy gladiator on Mike McCarthy about how good of a job he was doing and how proud he was of Mike and so on and so forth and all this other nonsense. The Texans have a job available. And it was just, the writing was on the wall. When you glaze that much over a coach, you're about to fire him. Because if you was glazing that much, you were so happy and proud and excited of all the things that he was doing and how much you were just ecstatic that he was your head coach, you would have resigned him. You would have given him the ability and the opportunity to go and get paper for your team. But you glazed and you overly complimented week in and week out when we knew that the fire was hot. But you never gave him a deal. Any week you could have walked in there and said, all right, here you go, 4-year deal. Mike McCarthy was grossly underpaid. He's making $4 million a year. Think about it for a second. Andy Reid's making $20. So here you have Mike McCarthy with the bottom feeder of head coaches. He wasn't up there with the 15s and the 16s and the 17 and $18 million coaches. He wasn't up there with the McVays and the Shanahans and the Reeds of the world and those guys making that big paper. $4 million a year. So whatever deal that came back, it probably wasn't much more than what you were already giving him, maybe 5, 6, 7, 8. But even that increase wouldn't have put him in the top 10 percentile of coaches, which means his assistants wouldn't have made a lot more money. So Mike stood on business. Said, I won't take that deal. Now in the conversation they talked about that they didn't get a chance to get to the contract negotiating part, which brings up another question to me. What the hell were y'all doing? Like, what were you doing? If you wasn't getting to the numbers, what were you doing? It don't take that long. All right, let's use a day for offense, a day for defense, a day to get our plan together, how we're going to move forward. By day number 4, we should be talking numbers. What's the holdup? The Patriots went from firing to hiring in 6 days. That's interviews included. What's the holdup? What is the holdup? But this is just another example of just the way Jerry does business. He drags his feet. He drags his feet. He goes at his own pace. He doesn't want to pay. I dream about this statement of, it would be embarrassing, the check that I would write to win a Super Bowl. No, the check won't be embarrassing. It'll be embarrassing. You know what? It will be embarrassing because you keep writing these checks and the checks aren't worth anything. Because if you wanted to put yourself in the proper position, at least as I talk about having a schematic advantage from the sideline, you give Ben Johnson $15 million. You would have gave Vrabel whatever he wanted. You would have given Robert Saleh. You would have given Joe Brady. You would pay these guys on par to top dollar. And the funny part about it is, the quarterback, the coaching money don't even come out of your salary cap money. That's your money. See, that's the money that you don't want to really give up. See, the salary cap money is one thing. That's your money, but that's a shared pot, right? You all get the same shared pot. But what you pay your coaches, no, that's your money. That's different from that money. That pile is different. Oh, this comes from a different account. The coaching money comes from a different account. See, everybody in the league gets the salary cap money. That's negotiated. That's what y'all do. So nobody gets more, nobody gets less every single year. So that's allotted for. Oh, but that coach's money, that comes from the Joneses account. And that's the money you want to hold on to. And so you keep putting these coaches out there, not equip them with enough the proper things that they need, and you make money. You make money. Concessions and so forth and have you. But you never have an advantage from the sideline. So you won't go out there and pay across the board for contracts. You'll pay a couple players because you need those guys that get you the TVs, the marketing deals, to sell the advertising, and to be competitive. You want to be competitive enough that gets you your 3 or 4 primetime games a year, that get people to tune in for Thanksgiving, that sells the hopium to the folks, that allows you to sell advertising and ads and marketing and so on and so forth, that makes you the most profitable franchise in all of sports. But you don't want to play the right places that can actually make you a champion. And we'll continue this cycle for a long time. Because my gut feeling, my suspicious feeling is that your search will have a Rooney Rule. So add whatever minority you want. Ron Rivera. What's Marvin Lewis doing? Marvin Lewis still what Marvin Lewis is doing? You brought him in last time. You brought him in for a Whataburger. You interviewed him as long as it take the Whataburger to get your meal out. So where's Ron Rivera? Where's Al Harris? You'll interview Al Harris. That's what you'll do. Knowing good and darn well you ain't hiring no African American or minority to be your head coach. But you, like others, not just you, not just Jerry, but the other coaches as well, will make a mockery of the Rooney Rule and just shuffle a minority in there and shuffle them out. You'll feed them. And you'll wine them. You'll give them good wine. If they drink, you'll give them the good stuff from the top shelf. That you will do. You will host. But it will be quick. The food won't be able to be digested before they back on the plane, heading back to where they came from. And then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty of what coaches will you hire?